guys, it's Holly and welcome to my book world. So today's video is definitely long awaited. I've been gone for quite some time now, a few months, and that is only because I was busy with summer vacation and holidays and family stuff, as well as life has just been a bit stressful, so I just needed to take a break. But I'm back on full swing. I don't know how often I will be uploading, but once I figure out a schedule that works great for me, I will definitely let you guys know, of course. So today's video is going to be a little bit of a catch-up video, and I'm just going to explain to you the books that I have read over the past few months, which I think it was around 20-some mark. I'll tell you the rating that I gave it, and if it was an audiobook or I read it on my iPad or whichever format I did read it in, as well as what I am currently reading, and that is about 3 books, 2 physical and then 1 as an audiobook, and then my October TBR. So there's a lot to fit into this video, so I'm just going to jump right on in because there's not enough time to explain everything, and I don't really want this video to be like 40 minutes long. I've been gone a while. This is a little bit awkward sitting and talking in front of my camera besides some of the vlogs that I did, but yeah, so here I am back again, and I really hope you guys enjoy, and like I said, more content will be posted in the upcoming weeks and more videos will be posted. I won't be taking that long of a hiatus again unless I absolutely find that it's necessary if my life gets a bit stressful like it was before. But so far, everything's been good. I've been in a better place, and yeah, so let me just get into the books that I read over the past few months. I think the last wrap-up I did was March, so these are going to be the books that I read from April to September, because I'm not going to show you the ones that I've currently already read in October, because that'll be in an October wrap-up. So with that being said, let's just jump into it, because hey, what else is there left to say? With that being said, since I said that I was going to show you from April to September, let's just start with April. Some months I think I only read like 1 book, and some months I read like 4. It all really depended, because some months I was away on holidays, and then some months, like I said, I was just so stressed that I didn't even think about reading, and I just kind of got in a little bit of a slump. But I did at least read something every single month. I do believe so. But let's just get into April's books that I did read. I'm not going into any detail about these books. I'm just going to tell you the title, the author, and what I rated it, and maybe a little bit why I rated it, if I feel necessary. I do have my book here with me that is like a catalog to me to tell me what month I read them in and the star rating that I did give them and the order that I read them in. So if you see me looking down, it is just because I need a quick reminder, because honestly I don't remember April. I don't remember March. I barely even remember September. So the first book that I read in April is Revolting Rhymes by Roald Dahl. I do not own a copy of this book. I picked this book up from the bookstore for my cousin as they pre-ordered it, and I live like down the street from the bookstore, so I had the opportunity to pick it up, and they let me read it before I gave it back. I gave that a 5 out of 5 stars just because I am a huge fan of Roald Dahl, and his twist on those fairy tales were absolutely on point. The second book that I did read in April was Illuminate by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff, which I did give a 3.5 out of 5 stars. I found that it just took me forever to get into it. The third book I read in April was 13 Reasons Why by Jay Asher. I read this in the hype of the show coming out, and I really enjoyed the book. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. I just really enjoyed the story, and it was a very enjoyable read for me, as I rate my books for the enjoyment, not really more the content, unless, like I said, the content is so terrible and there's spelling errors and stuff like that, but I do it for my enjoyment, and I really did enjoy this book. The fourth book that I read in April was We Are Okay by Nina Lakir. This is a very short book. I really did enjoy this. I think I read it in like a day period, or maybe even 2 days. I'm not exactly sure, but like I said, I really did enjoy it. It was also a 5 out of 5 star read. The fifth book that I read was The Selection by Kiera Cass. This is the first in, it was originally a trilogy, and then they added 2 other books. I've read the trilogy. I haven't read the other 2 books, and I don't know if I really want to. It's kind of like when the series is over, I don't really know if I want to read them, but I have them on my iPad, which is originally how I read them. So I've been slowly trying to collect them. But I really did enjoy this. I loved the whole thing. The only thing that bugged me was the main character, America, was really indecisive, which really got on my nerves a bit. She just got on my nerves. Let's just put it that way. I did give this a 4 out of 5 stars. The next book that I read in April was Everything Everything by Nicola Yoon. I did quotate this because it had so many amazing quotes. This book was beautifully written. This was the first Nicola Yoon book that I read, and I absolutely loved this book. Like, oh my god. And if you haven't seen the movie is equally as amazing. Like, you couldn't ask for a better book, and like I said, Nicola Yoon is probably one of my most favorite authors to this day now, and I don't regret buying this book at all. I did also give this a 5 out of 5 star read. Now moving on to the May books. Now I think I only read 3 books in May, 2 of which were I don't actually own a physical copy, so yeah. So the first book I read in May is the book Betrayal by R.L. Stine. I borrowed this book from my cousin, and it is like a 500-page book, or maybe it's even more than that, but I really did enjoy it because I am like a huge R.L. Stine fan, and I just like the whole creepiness, because they're not super horror books, but I just love the whole aspect and how he writes the creepiness into it, and I gave this book a 4 out of 5 star. The second book that I finished in May, I listened to as an audiobook, and that is Hunted by Megan Spooner. This is a Beauty and the Beast retelling, if you don't know. I was a little bit skeptical because I haven't read a lot of fantasy in the upcoming years to 2017, and I didn't know if I was going to really enjoy this, as well as this is my first time reading a retelling, and I was not disappointed. I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. Third and final book that I read in May is The Elite by Kier Cass, which is the second book in this selection series, and I read this on my iPad, so I don't own a physical copy. Like I said, I'm trying to collect the physical copies just because I did really enjoy them, and it was also a 4 out of 5 star read. Moving on to June, I do not know, I think maybe another 3 books I read in June, but let's just get into those because, hey, why not? The first book I read was A Monster Calls by Patrick Ness. I, again, borrowed this book from my cousin, and I really enjoyed this. I read this in maybe a 2-hour sitting, if not less than that. I really enjoyed this. The pictures, the illustrations, the writing was absolutely beautiful, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was a 5 out of 5 star read, for me, of course. The second book in June that I read was The One Memory of Flora Banks by Emily Barr. I did really enjoy this book. Some things bugged me a bit, but overall it was a fantastic read, in which I gave a 3 out of 5 stars, so it was kind of mediocre. It wasn't, I enjoyed it, but it wasn't like on the top end of a 4 where I really enjoyed it, but there were some issues. This had a little bit more issues than, you know, it wasn't a 2, but it was a 3.5. Or I guess a 3. Oh my god, I totally read that wrong. It was a 3-star read. Next book that I read in June was The One by Kier Cass, which is the third and not the final book, but the third in the final trilogy, the full bind-up of the trilogy. The original 3. It's the end of the trilogy. Anyways, I really did enjoy that. Again, America was just so indecisive, and finally she makes up her mind. Like, how long does it take to make up your mind, woman? I mean, it takes me a while to make up my mind, but it doesn't take me that long. Like, come on, lady. Anyways, I gave this another 4 out of 5 stars because, again, I really enjoyed the story. Now to July. I think I have 2 books only for July. July was a really busy month for me, as well as August, but I think I read a little bit more in August than I did in July. But anyways, 2 books in July. I'm not complaining. I still got some reading in. The first book I read was All I Am, and it is Drew's story from the This Man trilogy by Jodi Ellen Melpaz. I really enjoyed This Man trilogy, and it was so different to get a perspective from Drew's side. And I just found out she's releasing a 4th book in the This Man series, and I am super pumped. Like, oh my god, I cannot wait for that book. Yes, I gave that a 4 out of 5 stars because I just found that it was just like barely any conflict, and not that I don't like books without conflict, but I just found like this was just like, whoa, there was no way. I don't know. Some things were really unrealistic, as with most romance books, but you know, it was still a 4 out of 5 stars because I am just really invested in the characters. The next book I read in July was Your Welcome Universe by Whitney Gardner. I really, really enjoyed this book. The deaf representation was absolutely perfect. Well, I mean, not perfect. Not that I know. I don't actually know deaf people, but I really enjoyed that aspect of the book, and I think it was beautifully portrayed. And this story is absolutely beautifully written, and I couldn't have asked for a better way to start or end my July, I guess. I gave this, if you haven't guessed already, a 5 out of 5 star read. Now on to August. So in August, I don't know how many I've read. I think maybe 2 or 3. I'm not too sure because August again was a busy month for me. But the first book that I read was The Sun is Also a Star by Nick Yoon, and of course this one was even better than Everything. This is definitely my favorite Nick Yoon book. I absolutely adore the characters. I love this story. It was super cute and super adorable, and hey, this cover is absolutely gorgeous as well. I gave this a 5 out of 5 star, of course. Next book was a listen, so it was an audiobook. I do have the physical copy, of course, so I will show you that. But this was a book that my boyfriend and I listened to on our holiday road trips because, of course, on our holidays we had to drive a lot because where we were going to fly was basically, there's no point, you might as well just drive there. So the book that we listened to was I Can't Make This Up by Kevin Hart, and oh my god, if you are going to pick this book up and read it, do not pick this up and physically read it. If you do, that's awesome, but do not pick up the audiobook. It is read by Kevin Hart, which makes it so much more authentic and so much more hilarious. I think that listening to it, it was an amazing choice, and I don't think I would have enjoyed it as much if I wasn't listening to it, because Kevin Hart has this way of portraying himself, and him reading his own book was absolutely hilarious, and it just made it come to life even more, and definitely this is a 5 out of 5. Audiobook and a 5 out of 5 book, of course. The last book that I read in August was Wonder by R.J. Palacio. Totally butchering that name. That's probably totally wrong. But hey, I really did enjoy this. I seen the movie trailer and I was like, oh my god, Owen Wilson, oh my god, I got to pick this book up and read it. So literally, I seen the trailer, I went downtown, I picked this book up, and let's just say I read it in like a 2-day span, if not even a day span. I loved this book, and oh my god, Augie is like perfect. Like, can I have a kid like that? If I have kids, I want Augie. Like, oh my god, like, oh my god. Anyways, this was, if you couldn't tell already, was definitely a 5-star read. Now moving on to September, because that's the last month, and September was definitely a way better reading month because we had no holidays. It was just kind of sitting at home, relaxing, but of course still running a business and all those fun things. So let's just jump on into September. The first book that I read in September is actually kind of funny because I was shopping for books and I read this book in the bookstore, and I'm not ashamed of it. I didn't buy it, but I read it in the bookstore, so in like a 10-minute sitting or standing, I was standing to read it, and my mom was literally trying to push me through the bookstore so we could go do our other stuff, and let's just say that I sat there and I finished that book. And that was The Giving Tree by Shel Silverstein, and I really enjoyed this. He wrote the Where the Sidewalk Ends book, which is poetry, and I absolutely love that book. My mom used to read it to me as a kid. So once I seen this book, I had to sit and read it. Not that I wanted to own it. Maybe one day I'll pick them up and own, but definitely I stood there and I read it, which I gave a 4 out of 5 star because honestly, I'm at that age now where, you know, I'm a little bit older for that, but I still really appreciated his writing. Next book that I read in September was The Short Second Life of Bree Tanner by Stephanie Meyer, and I am not ashamed to say that this book literally took me years to get to. Like, it was on my shelf since Twilight, or I guess basically since this came out, and I've always looked at it and I'm like, oh my god, I have to read that because I was such a twihard. And finally, September was the month that I wanted something short and sweet, and this just happened to catch my eye every single time. So I picked it up, and I read it, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I really did like the whole perspective of Bree, so like I said, I did enjoy it. I did give this a 4 out of 5 stars, because I still enjoy the Twilight world, and what can I say, I'm kind of a sucker for vampires in this world. My stack of books just fell, of course. What is new? The next book that I read was Words in Deep Blue by Kath Crowley. I did really enjoy this book. I think I read this in like a day span or something. I do have a few tabs in it, or I guess two tabs in it for quotes, and it's a 3.5 out of 5 star. The next book that I did read in September, or I guess I listened to the audiobook because I could not get into this. I tried to physically read this book and it took me forever. I was just, I don't want to finish this, and then I put it down, but I'm at this point where I'm trying to get my TBR down off my shelf and so I can buy new books, and I actually I got rid of a bunch of books. I didn't film it just because I gave them to a friend and she was here, so I just didn't feel the need to. I wanted to film it. But if I don't, I think every year I'm going to be doing a book unhaul. So definitely the next unhaul that I do will be filmed for you guys to see. But anyways, that book that I listened to was Carve the Mark by Veronica Roth. And I am not a fan of this book. The audiobook was okay. The narrators were okay. But this book has a lot of issues, and I read the reviews, and I knew there was lots of controversy over this book, so I don't even know why I picked it up to begin with. But I bought this before I knew any of the controversy. And let's just say I totally agree with it. This book is very difficult to get through. Calling people blackface and stuff like that was very different for me, and I didn't really appreciate some of the wordings that she used, and I just didn't think this was not a good fit for Veronica Roth. I really enjoyed the Divergent series, and her go from the Divergent series to this was really disappointing, and almost broke my heart that I paid like $28.50 for this book, and it disappointed me so much. But, you know, I paid $28.50, and this didn't go in the unhaul because I was like, nope, I paid $28.50 for this book. Yes, I didn't like it. I didn't really enjoy it, but I am going to keep it because that was a huge chunk of change out of my wallet that at the time was probably stupid. If I would have known I didn't enjoy it as much as I enjoyed the Divergent series. I did give it a 2. I was going to go with a 1, 1.5, but there was some things where it was just like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool, but most of it just disappointed me so much, so I definitely think that a 1.5 would be better, but my rating for Goodreads and in my book is a 2. The last book that I finished on September, which I actually finished the exact last day of September, was The Season of You and Me by Robin Constantine. I did read her other 2 books, The Promise of Amazing and what was the other one? The Secrets of Attraction? Yeah, The Secrets of Attraction is her other book. I have read every single Robin Constantine book, and each one, they are young adult contemporaries, and each one is really cute, romancy, I guess you can say, but this one had a different element. The boy is in a wheelchair. I really do recommend this one. The only thing that bugged me was the guy in the wheelchair, and nothing against people in the wheelchair, but I just find that the author repeated it too many times, was the hashtag wheelchair perk. I mean, the odd time was okay, but I just felt like she overused it to the point where it was just like, oh, okay, I already know, you did, like, it was just repeated too many times. Nothing against wheelchair people. I have a cousin that's in a wheelchair, and I absolutely adored that aspect of it. But like I said, I just think that that word and that symbol and the hashtag was just overused in it. It didn't need to be portrayed so much in it. I guess I could say, I don't know. But like I say, 3.5 out of 5 stars. Like I said, I really did enjoy it. I mean, there were some things that bugged me, like the hashtag wheelchair perk, but other than that, I really did enjoy this. Those are all of the books that I read from the months April to September, the end of September. I have read 2 books in October so far, but I am not going to show you the books that I finished in October because that will be, of course, in an October wrap-up. So let's just move into the books that I am currently reading, and then I'll get into my October TBR. At the moment, I'm currently reading 3 books, and what I mean by 3 is I've been in this mood where I read 2 physical books, and then I read, or I guess I listen to, an audiobook. So I do own all 3 of the books that I am currently reading, so the 2 physical books that I'm reading and the one that I am listening to. So let's just get on into it. So definitely these will probably be in an October wrap-up. Maybe not the one that I'm listening to because it is a honker. It's like 44 hours or something crazy like that. So let's just get into the ones that I'm currently reading. So the first one that I'm reading is The Effort List, and it is by Julie Halpern. I read her Get Well Soon book, and I really did enjoy it, and so far I'm really enjoying this. This follows a girl who has cancer, and her friend is actually going through her bucket list and doing all the things that were on her friend's bucket list. So far I'm getting it, and so far I'm really enjoying it. It's probably going to be like a 4-star, I'm predicting, a 3.5, somewhere in there. But so far, overall, I'm thoroughly enjoying this. The next book that I am reading, which may give into a little bit of my October wrap-up, but hey, who cares? So the second book that I'm actually physically reading is One Dark Throne by Kendar Blake. So that kind of gives a hindsight of one of the previous books that I've read that I didn't mention. And oh my god, the way the first book ended was just like, oh. I went and picked up the second book. It was like $20 at my bookstore, which is originally $23.99. Yes, Canadian prices. But hey, it was $20. I picked it up and I'm super excited. And so far it picks up right where it left off. And I cannot wait to see the end result. Even though it sounds like they're adding another book. But I cannot wait to finish this book. Like, oh my god, the ending of the first one still blows my mind. And I'm so glad that I read it when the second one was already out. Because I guarantee you if I read the first one when the second one wasn't out, I would have been so disappointed and so frustrated. So definitely super excited that I read the first one when the second one was already out. And the last book that I'm currently reading, well, I guess I'm listening to, is a Halloween-y type read. And it is the hype of a movie that just recently came out. And I've been seeing this book and I'm like, yes, I want to pick it up. I really, really, really want to pick this book up. And, but it was always so intimidating. And if you haven't guessed already, I haven't seen the movie. I've seen the older movie. But that is It by Stephen King. And what I mean by it is intimidating, like, it is huge. Like, my hand barely can hold this up. It's intimidating. I could never get through this book if I had to sit down and physically read this because there's too many pages and too intimidating. So I figured I have a credit with Audible, so I'm just going to get it with my credit. And yeah, so like I said, it's like a 44-hour audiobook and I'm slowly making my way through it. I just started it, so I'm like one chapter in, but like some chapters are like an hour and some long. So sometimes I don't necessarily always have an hour to sit and listen to a book. But definitely, I'm enjoying it so far for an older book. And hopefully it doesn't get to be so intimidating with the 43 hours remaining. Anyways, definitely excited to see this and then hopefully, or I guess definitely excited to read this and then hopefully I can go and see the movie if it's not out of theater by the time I get through this. Anyways, those are my current reads. Okay, so the third and final part of this video is my October TBR because I figured I might as well just add all of these aspects into one video rather than making like 6 different videos. So you might as well just see them all. I have 3 so far here because I'm currently, of course, I'm listening to one that I've already showed you and I'm reading 2 that you've already seen. So hopefully I get through those 3. Like I said, it is going to be like a major goal because 44 hours is a lot to get through. Anyways, the first book that, besides those 3 that are that's on my TBR is The Savage Song by Victoria Schwab. And I'm not exactly sure what this book is about because these kind of like fantasy books, I don't like to know a lot because I find that on the back they just give away so much. Some are super interesting and some of them are just like, yeah, well, this person died. In the first page, you might not know that, so I don't really like to know, but I do believe this involves monsters and stuff, and I remember reading the back when I bought this. I bought this a while ago. I'm super intrigued, and hopefully I get this read so then I can pick up the second one. The only thing that's going to bug me is if I do pick up the second one, it won't be in paperback, so I will probably wait till the paperback comes out, so it's kind of iffy on my TBR right now because I might wait because the paperback is being released in 2018. It says on my Amazon wishlist. So hopefully I do get to this because I am super intrigued by this. The next book on my TBR is Love and Gelato by Jenna Evans Welch. This is a cute young adult contemporary, and that's all I really need to know because contemporaries, I don't need to know a lot to go into it besides it's a young adult contemporary. There's going to be a romance. That's all I need to know. I don't want to know a whole bunch. I like finding out things more as I read. That's why I don't, like, I read the back to find out if they're interesting, but I just kind of let it slide through my mind, and I don't like to remember it just because, like I said, I don't like going into books knowing a whole lot. And the final book on my TBR, I guess, is more of another Halloween read, and this is kind of out of the author's character of writing, and that is There's Someone Inside Your House by Stephanie Perkins. Now, she wrote the Anna and the French Kiss trilogy. I have not read that. I do own Anna and the French Kiss now, but they didn't have the 2 other books in the series in paperback, and they didn't actually have them at the bookstore that I have in my hometown. So that I have in my town that I live in, so I have to wait till I go to a bigger bookstore to get them. But anyways, this is more like a slasher read, everybody is saying. It is like a horror book, and people are saying it's more like a slasher film, so there's probably going to be lots of blood. And I'm not a chicken at all. I love horror books, I love thrillers, I love horror movies, so this is definitely up my alley, and I'm hoping to get to this more around Halloween time rather than so early in October, because in October to me is fall, and the beginning of October is my birthday, is October 3rd, so the beginning of October, I don't really think of it to be, oh, I gotta read all these horror films. I like cutesy ones because, you know, around my birthday I want to be super happy and not think about death. But anyways, this is my last book on my October TBR so far, but who knows if I actually pick these up. I could see something else on my shelf and be like, hey, you look nice, I'm gonna pick you up. Anyways, that is all for my video today. So I really hope you enjoyed all of the aspects in this. I really hope you enjoyed seeing what I read all through the months that I was gone off BookTube, and I really hope you enjoyed seeing what I am currently reading and listening to, and then of course the books that I'm hoping to get to this month. If you guys have any other bookish video ideas, please let me know. I've been kind of out of the game for a bit, so if you have any ideas, please definitely let me know down in the comments below, and I will be sure to hopefully get to them. I'm hoping to do some unboxings because I've been ordering things off Amazon. It's kind of an addiction. Anyway, I really hope that you guys enjoyed. Like I've already said, please like and subscribe. It would mean a lot. Yes, there will be gaming videos on this channel now, but hopefully you enjoy, but there will definitely be more BookTube videos to come. Anyways, like I said, that is all. I really hope you enjoyed. Bye-bye.